Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Trade Ideas Live Trading Room recap for Tuesday, November the 5th. My name is Barry Anderson, moderator of your trading room. Any questions you may have for me, you can use this email address. This is a link to get into our free room. It is 100% free. You do not have to be a member of Trade Ideas to be in our trading room. I open the room every morning at 9 o'clock Eastern, and I go up to 3 o'clock on Mondays to Thursdays. I always stay a little later if there are questions. I always say that. And in the link you're getting, you will see a link link for the test drive that is coming up, and it's coming up next Monday. So for $8.99, you will have access to our full premium service for 10 trading days. That'll go November the 11th to November 22nd. And it'll give you, say, access to our full service, including our Brokerage Plus, paper trading, the whole bit. If you're a standard subscriber, you can upgrade for those 10 days to our premium service to check us out or see what it's all about. All right, well, exciting day. I know yesterday I said in the room that I anticipated that today would be a lot more exciting because we'd have way more earnings plays. And that's what's happened. Of course, we have all the earnings plays from Monday afternoon after the market closes, and then, of course, this morning. So I also want to talk about the new Holly Neal. But before I do that, I want to talk about this one trade that I did. Well, I took a couple of trades, but I'll go over this one, the AFI. AFI has turned into just a fantastic short trade. This came actually in the gap down window, and saw it right, probably right around there. Shorted at 481. It is an earnings play. I covered some right here at 457 and some right here, 437, and now I'm just kind of holding on. Because I'm in at 481, I'm wanting to see if I can get 381, get a dollar on my last cover. But just a tremendous percentage move, okay? Now in the room, we also saw one of the more crazy ones. We haven't seen one like this for a while. This is the NXTC. See, yesterday it was at $26. Look where it got to today, $109. An insane move. Now, this is a relatively recent IPO. You can see in the monthly chart, there's where it IPO'd, okay? And it's funny because the lockup period I think it's over today, which means that the insiders can start to sell. But they also had, they had some news, which, you know, this is a pharma, a little it's a big bio company now. And it's a very low float, only 12 million in the float. So it had the news, and, you know, this is insanity, but this is what can happen. I mean, from 12, what did it close at? This pre-market was 23.55, gets all the way up to $108. You know, not easy to trade because where are you going to enter on the 15? I mean, it's just a guess. You know, is it going to keep going or is it not going to keep going? But just wanted to bring that to your attention. I took a couple. Now, I did get very fortunate with the IC. If you were in the room yesterday, you know that I was talking about the IC all day. And I ended up taking this one right around here at the end of the day, around 382, 381, as a swing. I woke up this morning and it, was up to 390, no big deal. And I stepped away, and then all of a sudden it had that big pop. Had a little bit of news, and I ended up selling right here at 460 and at 450. And I'm out of it completely now. I'm going to keep an eye on it, see if it takes back 4 again. But that was just a great way for me to start the day. I did actually try to go long on 10. I would still do the same thing. It just didn't work. Look at it on the weekly chart. You can see the massive, void gap looking left. I ended up taking this just over 16. I think it was 1620 actually, and looked pretty good for a while. Let me bring back the 15-minute chart. Looked pretty good for a while. Popped up to 1629. Just didn't like the way it was trading, and I got out. Now the market, was starting to do this also. So as I said, watching my watch list, very few of the watch list trades from the watch list would have worked today because of the way the market was doing, other than the earnings plays. The earnings plays are the ones that can still work. It doesn't really matter what the market is doing. Now, CHGG, worked briefly. There was the alert at 34.77. I mean, it did get up to 35.77, I mean, that's a tremendous pop if you could have got it. I mean, it would have been a little bit difficult. Ever is another earnings play, 27.30, and it got, well, it's 27.75 now. I think the other one is FLGT, 12.20, and it got up to 13.50. So, I mean, really good action on the earnings plays, but unless it has earnings, more than likely a lot of these are just going to follow what the market is doing. So, as opposed to, let me just show you my short watch list. These are earnings plays too, but there's Peloton, first earnings release, 23.29, got all the way down to here, 22.23. Now, Under Armour did not. That actually, there was the trigger, and it just sort of held around this area, and this is earnings yesterday, but it's had a nice recovery. Uber, though, another earnings play, 28.51, got down to 28. GSX, another earnings play, 15.85. I mean, it's rebounded, but before it did that, it got all the way down to 14.70. This is not an earnings play, 13.04. This is not an earnings play, FNKO, but again, following maybe more like the market, all the way down to 14.40. This, not an earnings play, VICI. This is working out nicely, 24.31. So, and this is an earnings play, MYGN, 21, and it got down to 20.10. All I'm saying is that, the earnings plays will have a mind of their own, almost don't care what the market is doing. But if it's not an earnings play, you certainly, you would like to see the market on your side. Now, the market is trying to rebound here. So that's why I was saying, when the market starts doing this, I would be watching my watch list down way more than the watch list up, unless it is an earnings play. Now, I also want to talk about our new Holly Neo. I hopefully get a new name for it because I know it's probably a little... Just a second here. I'm going to just shrink this chart down a little bit. I knew that would happen. Just a minute here. Just have to find my chart again. Okay, there we are. So let me see if I can shrink this down. There we go. Okay, so I just want to bring in Holly Neo. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit too. Okay. So Holly Neo again. I hope we get another name for it because really this is... all this is, I shouldn't say all it's doing, it's looking at every day only 4 strategies, too long, too short, and with high relative volume, okay? And you can see right here, too bad we don't have an earnings column, but I can tell you that FRTA is an earnings play, UNVR is an earnings play, RKDA is an earnings play. We already talked about MYGN, FTDR, these are all earnings plays, MPW, not an earnings play. But most of these are earnings play. Shake Shack is an earnings play. So that's why these are appearing in here because high relative volume and stocks that are really moving. And so you can see, there's the FRTA. The alert was at 10.06, way down there. I mean, it hits a high of 11.03. That's a great percentage increase, and it could still move. I actually have an alert set right up here because if you look at this on the weekly chart, it still has room. You have to back this out a little bit. Look at all the room it can possibly have. So this is something, there are some highs up here in this area, but this is, we get the question a lot, is the AI only good for intraday trades? Well, I would say that if this closes strongly and, it doesn't give it all up today, but it closes strongly, I mean, you look at the potential that it could start to fill. I mean, that's, going from 10 to 20. So that's how I would be analyzing all. Look at the UNVR, the same sort of thing. I mean, look at the potential that it could keep filling. So anyway, this is the Holly Neo. Now, I'll be very interested to see what happens with this strategy once we're out of earnings, because again, the majority of time that we get these very, very high relative volumes is because it's an earnings play. Typically a stock will trade a certain amount, and then all of a sudden when it's its earnings play, the volume explodes, and that's when we get the high relative volume. The other thing about this Holly Neo, the new Holly Neo as I call it, there is no hold period. Well, I shouldn't say that. At the end of the day, but these are designed for optimized for all day holds. Now, doesn't mean that it's going to hold it all day. It's just that as opposed to, we'll call it the normal AI, Float on has maybe a 60-minute hold period. Tailwind might have a 45-minute. I don't know what they are exactly, but they all have hold periods, usually 45 minutes, 60 minutes, maybe 90 minutes. These have no hold period. I mean, until the end of the day. So that means, in theory, if the stock is running and running and running and really has no severe pullback, these would be all day holds. Now, if the stock starts to move down, yeah, it's going to it will take a profit just like it's doing here. Now, I would say this. Let me just bring back the 15-minute chart. And here's where the algorithms, I mean, there's kind of a work in progress. But look at this one right here, Arcadia. And this is why, I mean, there are lots of people who want to auto trade all this stuff. And, my feelings are, I won't auto trade. But, here's an example of a stock that the trigger was at 574 right there in that candle. It hits a high of 628. And because of the algorithm that was in place, it didn't exit until 588. Well, who would do that? 574, who would let all this happen? Okay, so that's all I'm saying is that my feeling is that these trades, great watch lists, watch them and then manage them, so get some human element involved. You put on a little bit of your trading hat and saying to yourself, well, I would never let this happen. I mean, in theory, this could have gone all the way down here before it got out. Okay, who would do that? You're not going to let a 574 that gets as high as 628, which is a great percentage move, come all the way down here without taking some off. So anyway, those are my thoughts anyway on the Holly Neal. How I do this, I like to have this as a separate window. I mean, you can do this, have everything in the one window, just like before. But I prefer to see that. Whoops, that's 2.0. I prefer to see them on their own because for me these are the most dynamic ones right now, and we'll still have next week we'll have about 1,000 companies releasing earnings. This week we've had 18. We'll have 1,800, so it still should be active next week during the test drive. The week after that, we won't have as many earnings, so we'll have to see. I mean, it's really a lot because most of these are all earnings plays, and we'll have to see once we don't have earnings how well this performs. So anyway, that is about it. So if you have any questions for me, just come into the room. And you can email me, but I mean, if you can come into the trading room, I can explain all this a lot better and just show you what I'm talking about, all right? So I want to shut down this. I want to bring back the capture program. So again, any questions, you can use this email address, but if you can come into the trading room, it's a lot better. This is the link for the room. It's 100% free. You don't have to be a member. And I'll open the room tomorrow. And again, don't forget the link for the test drive is here. And I'll open the room tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern. I hope everybody has a great evening, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.